Hello beautiful souls. In this video I want to talk about how we can actually physically start to see the energetic shifts, that forward movement. And I'm going to share with you because yesterday I was listening to a young reader that I follow that is absolutely amazing. I've been following her now for well over 12 months. And she started off and opened up to do her reading with the intention of doing one thing, and then as she opened herself up, spirit came in and she started channeling a message practically word for word that I had been given and I did a video for a couple of years back. And I was just so elated about that because it took me nearly 50 years, if not 50 years and a bit, to be able to do that. And she's doing it, taking steps on this planet in just 20. And we need to be celebrating this. Now, some of you can be sitting there going, oh, well, maybe she watched your video. No, there was absolute discernment and there was facial expressions that you couldn't fake, and so it is about being able to rejoice, being able to see the shifts that are occurring and being able to champion those that are coming behind. Because let's be honest, the work that we're doing is to leave a legacy. The work, the same as the people that came before us, the work that they were doing has made our lives easier, and the things that we've been doing, it means now she doesn't have to wait until she's in her 40s and 50s to be able to channel in that way. Excuse me. Interesting, they don't want it said. It's holding on to, it's looking around your environment and holding on to the physical evidence that shifts and changes are occurring. So let's get into it. Hi and welcome to Oak Door. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Claire Attio. For those that are returning subscribers, thank you. For those that are new here, welcome in. So as I said on that intro in a very excited way, and they're still trying to close up my throat, we've been talking for years now about the big shift, the big energy shifts, the change in paradigms, the complete collapse, and I know that scares people, of very big institutions as we change, as we raise our vibrations. And I don't want to say a complete collapse in the sense of everything is gonna, the world is nigh. I'm not meaning that, but we're really starting where, and we've been talking about these shifts that are going to occur, these shifts in humanity, the shifts in cultures globally, the shifts in dynamics, because the dynamics at the moment are just a few hold all the power and the rest of the globe just has to follow through and say, please sir, may I have some more? It's very much an Oliver Twist scenario that we were slaving away on that hamster wheel day in, day out. And we can see it with what's happening in the world at the moment. If we look at the political arena, some of the recent, especially in the UK, because we've just had the budget, and I tend not to listen to it, but unfortunately other people talk about it, and so you can't help but hear it even when you're not watching mainstream, how, you know, the choices that they've actually made and the decisions that they've made to put into place is basically going to start another housing crisis. And we're already in a housing crisis. There's far too many people that don't have a home to live because they can't afford the mortgages. And this is not just in the UK, this is globally. We've got this weekend we've got the American elections. I think it's this weekend, is it not? Or is it next weekend? Next weekend. As you say, I don't follow mainstream, but it's either happened or it's about to happen. There are lots and lots of things, and there is a dynamics in the energies, and I don't like to think of it as good or bad or positive or negative, although there are elements of that because we use polarity to understand the world. But it's about the shift, and obviously those that do hold the power, they want to continue to hold the power. That is a natural human instinct. But these shifts are occurring. And I think it's very, very important, especially with what is going on out there globally at the moment, the natural disasters, the loss of life, the horrific crimes, the increase in the cost of living. As I just, the other example of people not being able to afford their own homes, we've gone back to families, whole, 2-3 generations having to live together because of that. And it would be very easy not to see the shifts. It would be very easy to go, well, why are we doing this? Why are we putting all this energy into making these changes when the only change we see seems to be a backward change? Me listening to that young woman yesterday, and it's not the first time it's happened, was so heartwarming. It elevated my vibrations because it was absolute proof that the changes are occurring. As I said, I didn't get those types of messages coming through. I didn't have the ability, the strength. I didn't have the openness in my own consciousness to be able to connect and get those types of messages until I got into my late 40s, early 50s. She's in her 20s and she's doing it. She's gaining and has that connection to the divine, to the cosmos, to the energies. Not only does she have the connection, but she is able to attune to what is actually being disseminated. That is amazing. For me, that made me so happy and really lifted me, animated me, to the point that I made this video, because I think it's very important that we all kind of take a breath when we see that, is to take a breath and to give an applause, because they are the future. They are the next generation, and when they, if they decide to go on and have a family, they will be much more, one, attuned, two, they will have already had, because of the work that they've done, the emotional intelligence to pass that on to their children. Change will not be a scary thing for the future generations. The fear of change will not be able to be used. Much of what goes on in society and why we have the pyramid dynamic is because of old there were only a few that were educated, so they got to tell everybody at the bottom that wasn't educated what to do, and oh, this is this and this is that and this is the other. As we've evolved, education became more accessible, but as these changes, as the change in dynamics came in, we can see the complete desecration of the education system, and it's now only the few that can afford higher education. So we can see this playing out. The beauty is you don't need that academic education when you have parents that are already emotionally intelligent. They will have that firm foundation of emotional intelligence, and they will pass that to their children. The dysfunction within families will eventually dissipate because of that emotional intelligence, generation after generation after generation. And if you look back of old, there has always been a slight progression, a slight evolution between each generation, but very much because of that lack of education, because of that lack of emotional intelligence, it was very much a repeat of cycles. And there were obviously those, because we're here now, we're doing this now, so there were those that kind of broke those cycles in the past. But very much the era that we're in is about breaking those dysfunctional cycles within our own lives. And as we do that, it creates a massive ripple effect, and it increases the vibrations for everyone. Remember, we're all connected. And this is why it's very important that when we see something, when we observe something, and we think, crikey, they're young to be doing that, celebrate them. Give gratitude to them. Because that is a lot of personal investment at a very young age that has occurred there for them to be able to do that. I don't know about you, but when I was in my 20s, I didn't give a hoot about what was going to happen to future generations. And that's why we are where we are, because our parents were the same, and the parents before that were the same, and the parents before that were the same. When they were in their 20s, there wasn't really kind of like, there probably, if you go back 2 or 3 generations, there probably wasn't even that consciousness in them in their 20s. All they were focused on was having a job, making the money, getting a house, if they were lucky enough to afford a house, or renting a house and starting a family. The dynamics are changing, and yet we've got a 20-year-old that has already done a huge amount of personal investment so that she can leave a legacy for the future. She can leave the world in a better place. That didn't even come onto my spectrum until I was in my 40s. Now, there were things that I did, humanitarian things that I did, because that's part of who I am and what I did, but it wasn't in the forefront of my consciousness, is what I'm saying. And we need to be looking at what's going on there in a positive way. We need to be looking for these feel-good stories, this evidence that is showing us that these changes are occurring. To have somebody in their 20s thinking about the legacy, thinking about how they want to leave the world, is a massive, massive step forward. And she's just one of thousands upon thousands out there that is doing that now. So the basis of this video is basically, if you're feeling a bit low, if you're thinking nothing's ever going to change, if you're thinking, oh, they keep talking about this change but I don't see any of it, maybe it's because you're not looking for it. Maybe it's because it's easier to swallow the mainstream that is being projected 24/7. The stories are out there, the evidence is there if you choose to look for it. And I didn't even have to kind of look for it. It's just somebody I followed, and it was like wham. And I sat and I was just so elated. I was so uplifted. And it was really good to hear that message from somebody else's mouth, because there were things that, yeah, okay, had come through when I did it, but I hadn't actually integrated them. Hearing them from somebody else, I was able to go, oh, right, yeah, okay. And I actually had to go back and watch my video to see if it was in there, because I was like, I don't remember that. But it was in there. I hadn't, and I very often, when you're channeling, you tend not to remember what you've said anyway. But it it could be two things that were going on there. I wasn't in a place and space to be able to hear it at the time, or because I was in the moment, it had slipped past my consciousness. So to be able to hear it from another person's mouth allowed it to come into my consciousness. And now there's a little bit of work there that needs to be done. Look for the evidence, celebrate the changes, and celebrate these young people that are really, they're really putting in the time and the work and the effort. They're making that investment for us all, not just for themselves, for us all, because we're all interconnected, and for future generations. If you like the video, then hit that like button. If you're not yet subscribed, then hit the subscribe and the notification bells to get notified when the new video goes up. Until next time, sweet souls, take care. Bye bye.